Welcome in, folks, to another great episode of I've Got a Theory. This is Henish, and I'm here with a great guest today, Nikia Porter. Nikia and I know each other professionally, but I'm interested to hear his theory. Nikia, welcome on. Thanks for joining me.
I appreciate you having me. My theory is about the whole thing everyone talks about, defunding the police, and just the whole state we're in general. I feel that the police are asked to do a lot of things that they shouldn't have to do, which makes their job harder. And because their job is harder, is how they start to take it out on people when you're stressed out. And the title, Defund the Police, I think is just, it's a bad title, but it's a great concept, great idea. I guess for people that don't understand what defunding the police means, it means take the funds allocated to certain things and repurpose them and kind of break down the job of a police officer and what they're asked to do, and make it more, I guess, consumer friendly or user friendly. So I guess how to break all this down. If you think about some of the videos that you see and the actions that are taken upon people when they go left, which not all interactions with the police go left, but when they do, on non-violent crimes, like if you are pulled over and police pull you over and you don't have like the necessary paperwork for your vehicle or whatever, even if that person were not to be cited right at that moment, they have their information. So they have your driver's license, they have your car. They could tow the car. If the person leaves, they know where they live, so they could actually send them a bill. They don't necessarily have to arrest them right on the spot. And if they call the police to deal with the homeless, they don't necessarily have to have, all the actual police officers with guns and stuff. They could have use an actual department for different things. So you could have, obviously there's a violent crime happening, you could have certain police with weapons that are for that. You could have maybe people with doctors or things like that for people that have mental state issues and have the police with them so that they're protected. You could do things a whole different way than what we're used to seeing, where they call the police and they have them doing all these different tasks that they may not necessarily have to do. Like even when you think about traffic stops and things of that nature, and they escalate to seeing the things. And the reason why I feel it's important from a safety standpoint from all people, but even the tax implications of all of it when they have lawsuits and things like that, a lot of these places can't afford to pay the lawsuits. So then we pay more in taxes for these things. So it's important on all levels. First and foremost, human safety. And, we want to be safe. We want, the police to be safe, but you also don't want to pay more for these lawsuits that occur, because that's why they have, police brutality bonds and things of that nature, where people put money in bonds to pay for all these lawsuits that are happening.
It's crazy, huh? Nikia, have you had any bad experiences with the police directly?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I have. Seeing the stuff that happened with Floyd. I grew up in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and police would pull me over all the time. I'm pretty articulate and smart, and I can kind of see when things are going a certain way and know kind of how to navigate it. But not everybody's like me, so if they were to have that same situation, it could go left, and then all of a sudden they're arrested or they're, have a bad situation occur. And that's another hard thing about showing respect to someone that doesn't necessarily respect you, is something that we have to look at too when we're in an altercation, or not even an altercation, just an interaction with the police officer that's aggressive, to still show that person respect and have restraint. Not everybody has that in them. So,
it comes down to so there's a couple different angles here, right? And I understand this. I hate the polls that say, oh, a majority of Americans don't support defunding the police. But the question comes is, how many of those people did you poll understand what defund the police actually mean. Because it's probably the 20%
Exactly.
that said, yeah, I want to defund the police. Because the people that understand what defunding the police means, usually it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it. And then everyone else
Right.
is like, what are you, crazy? You want to have no police around? I'm like, that's
Right.
not how that works. But people don't
Right.
understand. So, I hate when, and it's not just media, but but it is media. It's media saying, "Hey, we took this poll of 100 people, and 80 people say don't defund the police," but none of them even know what it means because very few
Right.
people understand the full implications of things. And even just this 1 minute explanation would help solve that, right?
Lot.
And you're exactly right. Police are forced to take care of so many different varieties of situations, and they shouldn't. They're there to serve
Right.
and protect. They shouldn't be there to address a property dispute between your neighbors or a homeless guy sleeping on your yard or whatever, whatever kind of dumb issue that you've got there. You're like, this is a bad resource of a highly trained person that's supposed to be keeping the peace. Same thing, like there should be some kind of like, and I'm sure there's some kind of like advancement program or promotion program where maybe you start off as a police that just does traffic stops or speeding tickets, and you don't get the assault guns and the shotguns and stuff like that because, hey, if a pullover goes wrong, well then you let them go, and then you call in the guys with the big guns to chase the guy down, right? But at no point does a getting pulled over for speeding or blowing through a stop sign warrant someone getting shot, right? If the guy's
Right.
going to be a hazard, yeah, let him go. Shit, that's what I think. It's like now it makes me concerned because I'm halfway in between like black and white. But on a dark night, or if I'm with my black friends, I know what the cops are thinking. So like it makes me think I'm going hands up or on the ground or hands in the car right away. I'm like, please just take me to jail because I don't want to get shot in this parking lot.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
I'd rather spend a night in jail and then sort it out tomorrow than have someone get misconfused about something and then I get shot in the back.
Yeah, and they're, I think, if you lead with like aggression, like if someone's really aggressive to you, even if you think about, you call customer service or you have a situation and someone's yelling at you and then you yell back, then the levels just keep going up and up and up. So I think if you calm that level down and you say, hey, let's all speak to each other, let's show each other respect, immediately that person will think like, wait, I am being loud. They may not even notice it just because of that moment, that rage that they have for whatever they're upset about. So if you speak to that person, say, hey, listen, I'm here to try to assist and help you get what you want at the end of the day. A lot of people take a step back and say, okay, yeah, this person's a cop, but he's an actual human. He's an actual father, mother, someone's grandpa, all those different things come to, because we're all people. We may have a role or a job or something, but you're still a person at the end of the day. But I just, that's my theory. I really think that they really should, because it's been other places. Camden, New Jersey, they defunded the police. LA, after like all the riots before they've done it. So it's not something new. It may not be the best wording for I guess a phrase of what it means. Maybe they should repurpose the phrase or the catchphrase for it. But I definitely think that they need to really evaluate how the nation is policed in general, and what the police's roles are, and who should do what.
Yeah, and so it should almost be considered redistribute police funds.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
To solve all the problems that police are tasked to deal with, right? And that's what it
Absolutely.
shouldn't be called. It's like redistribute the funds, right? The police still get a good chunk of it. Like in San Diego, I'm hearing that the budget goes up by 30, 40, 50 million each year. A few years ago, it was $450 million for the police. Then it was 480, then it was 520, and now it's up to 566. So it keeps going up a huge amount, 7-8% a year. And it's tough because when you're an organization, whether it's the police, whether it's the transit authority, whether it's a small business, whether it's a big business, there's only one goal of that organization, right? The primary goal is self-preservation. How do I keep my organization relevant and useful? The second goal is, how do I keep it growing, right? No one wants to say, hey, we've solved all crime, drop our budget by 50%. right? No one says
Yeah.
that, right? No transit department says, hey, no one takes buses anymore. Let's cut our funding by 50% and fund alternate ways to get around, right? No one says that. There's a problem with the way the system is created, right? Because every year the police get more money, but then every year the less popular things get less money, right?
Yeah.
So the social workers, the outreach, the housing care, and the people that need help that aren't necessarily crime or safety related, those departments get less money because it's not as a big ticket, big visibility item as crime and keeping the neighborhood safe. So those budgets go up 8-10% a year. And now we've got these monstrous $500 million budgets for a small town like San Diego, which is incredible when you consider, well, shoot, could they do this same job and keep the streets safe for $200 million and then put $300 million towards all these other problems that the police are tasked with dealing with, like the thousands of homeless people that we have, and I see that as a regular occurrence, and I see them spending a lot of time dealing with homeless because it's concerning. Some are violent, some aren't, some are stealing stuff, some don't. If you're sleeping on the street and blocking sidewalks, that's a problem, but it's not a police problem. It's now like, how do we get this person someplace else
Could
to a better
be mental health, it could be chemical dependency, could be both. All those things are concerning. I don't believe, unless like the person's being violent or something, that the police should have to deal with that. They probably don't want to. Really
No,
don't want
100%.
to.
Well, I mean, plus they've taken away enforcement, right? So unless they're committing a felony, they can't really do anything. And what are you going to do? Give someone a $300 ticket that can't
Even
that doesn't
pay
have
it.
bills? They don't have credit. They don't have credit cards. What are you
You
going
would have a place to send it to. Where are you going to
to? Yeah.
send them the ticket?
So let me ask you, you mentioned that, in your experiences with the police, because you're articulate and because you understand you can be respectful and, you come across non-aggressive, you can get away with it, without getting in trouble. So is there an element of, shouldn't there be a part of school that teaches you like conflict resolution and how to deal with people? Because if you don't get that from your direct family, and a lot of people don't, if you don't get that from your direct family, someone's got to teach you, hey, if this happens, this is how you have to deal with the situation. Otherwise, things can go sideways real quick.
Yeah. I mean, fortunate and unfortunate, my family, all being Black for the most part, always, told me what to do and what not to do. So we had a talking about that stuff, saying, my mom believed if you don't have any money in your pocket, you don't need to be outside. She's like, you don't need to go in the store if you don't have money, because then something could happen. So I always believed that I wouldn't go out with my friends messing around out of my neighborhood if I didn't have any money, because I'm like, hey, someone might steal something, someone might do something. So they always like instilled that in me. You have some money, then you can go out. You can go out to a restaurant. What are you going to a mall for if you don't have any money? And I never thought about it. So my mom always would put those type of questions in your head. But then also she would say, if you are confronted by the police, be respectful. Listen to what they have to say. And I'd rather you get home, even if, because they may be racist, they may be whatever, but I'd rather you come home than to actually have them do something to you. And then seeing riots and seeing people protest growing up and seeing the stuff that they don't treat you in Black History Month, I could see like how things they have the power at that moment because they have a gun. And I've never had an issue, but I don't like that feeling when a police car is behind you. And my other friends that were white or other races, they don't feel that same way. I remember having a debate with some friends, and we were all sitting at a coffee shop, and they're like, if the police come up right now, you just get on the ground, you do whatever they say. And I was like, well, why? Like, we're just sitting here having coffee and talking because the police said so. And I was like, I don't think, they're not God. Like, they're not the end all be all. Like, they have to give us a reason, and they have to give us a probable cause. And like, that's the problem. If people wouldn't do that, we wouldn't have these different situations occur. And I'm like, nah, but that's still not right. Like, we have
So
rights.
one of the things that I know the police try to do when they enter any situation is that they've got to control it, right? If something's going down and they don't know what's happening, hey, I'm in charge, I'm in control, I'm the law. Everyone keep your shit together, because if we don't, then I'm losing control and things are going to happen. right? And
Sure.
that's what it always comes down to. As long as the police, have the control of the situation, it's not going to be an issue. Well, like this dude
Sure.
that gets gunned down in the Wendy's parking lot, yeah, it
Right.
started off nice enough, but when you start running away and shooting tasers at cops, that's a little scary. The cop no longer has the control of the situation. I'm not saying it was right; he should shot him in the back, but at the same point, you could imagine being a policeman like, crap, this guy's running away and he's shooting stuff at us, and
It's,
they might have
but
been confused, right?
I
It'd be
actually,
easy enough to be like, I'm wrestling with this guy. He grabbed something from my side, and now he's turning around and shoot at me. How does the cop know it's a taser gun versus a regular gun? It's hard to tell in the heat of the moment after you've just been wrestling with the dude.
no, I agree. But I think even in that situation, let him run away. Like you already have his
100%.
car. You
Where's
already
he
had
going?
his
Yeah.
information.
He said
Where
he's
is he?
got kids. Yeah, he said he's got kids. What's he going
Yeah,
to do? Not abandon his family because he's running from the police?
yeah. At the worst, you say what would you, I don't even know the proper legal term, but he ran away, so that has to be a crime.
That's a
And
bigger
now
crime. That's a bigger crime than DUI, right? It's not just
yeah,
resisting arrest. It's like fleeing arrest.
fleeing a
Yeah,
scene or
yeah.
freeing a crime scene, whatever it is. And
That's
then
more legal than just the DUI, right? You can't just run away from cops that are trying to arrest you.
exactly. So now you ran away. So obviously you did something. Just go get him. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
of course. It's like he was a danger to like the public, right? He did. He wasn't a danger to the public. Where was he going to run to? Like let him run away.
So those are the things, like just judgment, just common sense things. I think because now they burnt down the Wendy's. Now the family's gonna sue. It's just another big black eye of another situation that went left, and it's even like
So
people say, like,
they were saying that like a bunch of other police in that department resigned. They said like 19 police resigned. What do you think that means? Why do you think they would have resigned? Is it because they're against the police that did that, or are they showing support for the police, saying, "Hey, we don't want to be part of this if we're not allowed to do our job properly"?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think as some people are tired of the things that they're required to do and that they're told to do, and that they target, communities that don't necessarily have money in it. Sometimes it could be, or most of the time it's communities of color. But I'm just saying, anyone that doesn't have money, they can pick on you more because you don't have the money to go fight them legally. So they prey on those different individuals, and that's why those people can't, or that's one of the reasons that stops people from getting ahead. It's kind of like the other side of it too is maybe what they actually signed up to be a police officer, they're not doing those things because they're doing the things that I kind of touched on in the beginning. You thought you're here to actually get the bad guy, but now you're just harassing people that, you know, there's somebody in a park that's walking around and you're running up on them and asking them all these questions. And, that's not what you want to do. You actually want to stop crime. You actually
Yeah,
want
for
to
sure.
stop.
I mean, you hate that story where you're like, oh, the high school bully became a police officer. That's not going to be good.
Right.
You don't want that.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, geez, like you gave the guy that was already rude in high school and picking on kids. Now you gave him a gun and a badge. That's but they need better screening. When you see this stuff that's going on, and I see a lot of media, and they show how much more training and education pretty much every developed country's police force needs versus ours. Not to say that our guys don't go through a lot of training, but maybe there needs to be some adjustment in the training where the use of lethal force isn't just like plan B. It should be like plan F. Like after you've
Oh
tried
yeah.
5 different things to not kill someone, okay, well now we got to kill this guy.
Right. And it's I don't know. Like I definitely see both sides. Like I'm not just saying that they're targeting um only minorities and things like that, because they do it to other races other than just people of color. But I do believe that they're asking them to do way too much than what's necessary. Their job shouldn't be this. Anything that goes wrong, you call the cops.
Right.
Like they should have a designated team for everything. You don't call the SWAT team right away for everything.
No, I remember years ago, one of my first experience with the police in San Diego was 2009, July 4th. It was a Saturday, and I had an apartment, and we had an apartment with a big open space. And so we had a small party. It was like 20 people there, literally, maybe 25.
Yeah.
At 3 p.m., the police came and shut it down on
Oh,
July 4th on a Saturday with 25 people there. It wasn't even like, it was like the patio could have comfortably fit 100 plus people. And I'm like, why am I getting shut down? And he's like, if I have to come back here, I'm ticketing you to $1,000. I'm like, why would you give me $1,000 ticket on July 4th on a Saturday in the middle of the day? It's not 3 a.m. It's 3 p.m.
Right.
And he didn't have any answer. He's like, someone complained. I'm like,
man, lucky you didn't come to my parties.
Yeah, I mean that was an aberration. I don't know how that happened. You know, some of the hearsay was that the one of the neighbors was friends with the police chief, and she called it in, and so then he had to do something. And I was like, that stinks. Like, what, you know, that's not something that's a crime. Like, you should be able to enjoy yourself a little bit on July 4th.
Nah,
Anyways.
like I don't mind. Like, I've been pulled over or even confronted by the police. They check my ID. They think I'm somebody, and they find out that's not me, and they say, okay, you know, have a good day. That's okay. Right. That's not a bad interaction. I don't even think that that's harassment. But if you have that escalate to something, or, you know, I remember once I was getting my car towed by the cop, and he kept getting in my face, and I just walked away from my car. I'm like, hey man, I don't need the car that bad. Obviously, you want to tow the car, even though I'm like 4 blocks from my house. And I walked home, and I ended up going to the impound and getting in the car. But like I said, I had enough restraint and enough, I guess, discipline and smarts to know, like, hey, this guy is trying to get you to do something so that he can arrest you, and it's not worth it. So I mean, it sucked having to get my car towed. And, you know, I had license, I had insurance and everything, but he wouldn't let me get in the car and get it. So then he towed it and basically said I didn't have insurance.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, and that's important, because that's the difference between you and you had a mom or, you know, some family that taught you some stuff. But you got to admit, there's people that don't have that kind of training growing up, right? That haven't been taught that, that, you know, have to get street tough smarts and street tough. And that's a different mentality, right? Which is like me versus you, regardless of if you're a cop or not, you know, like, we're going to duke it out. But, you know, with the police, you got to have a different attitude, and it takes a little bit of training to understand that, right? So yeah, it's risky. So I guess, you know, the key thing is, like, you know, we should defund the police, and I would agree with you that if the people that took those polls understood what defund the police meant, more of them would agree with that. Because I think most people would agree that we do need police doing things that they're trained for, and not dealing with homeless, not dealing with social work issues, not dealing with ticky-tack things that don't make sense for them, versus the things that they're trained to do, which is keep people safe, you know, stop crime.
Yep. Yeah, it's you know, protect and serve the public, and do it in a way that you don't necessarily have to be aggressive in every situation. You know, 9 times out of 10, when people see the police, they're like, oh, now it's serious. Let me chill out. Let me calm down. I don't want to get a ticket. I don't want to go to jail. And then I don't think we should be afraid of the police if you a law-abiding citizen that does what he's supposed to do. Like, it should be just like seeing anybody else. It's seeing I don't know. I just don't think we should be afraid of the police, even though you do get a certain feeling when they're around.
You know, one of my good friends here is a police officer, and he's on the SWAT team. And I remember when we first met, like less than a year after we'd met, he's like, yeah, you know, I'll take you guys out shooting and stuff. And I'm like, man, that'd be awesome. At that point, I had never shot a gun before. And it was like 2009.
Oh, nice.
I was already 29 years old. I'd never held even a gun in my hand or shot one. And he took us out to the SWAT range, and he's like, here's an AR-15, here's an assault shotgun, here's a sniper rifle, here's a few different handguns. And he just handed me loaded, unsafety guns. And we just had a good day at the range. And I was like, me and my brother, I'm like, man, this is a scene to see, because, you know, both of us look like the majority of the 9/11 hijackers. And so here's my white SWAT police officer unloading his trunk with a bunch of guns for us. And I was like, this is awesome. And, you know, we had a good day. You know, so obviously there's plenty of good cops. I feel like my friend is one of them. And it's tough because it's a situational thing. It's a control thing. It's a training thing on both the part of the police and citizens that have to interact with them. So you can get out of this situation okay. But yeah, should there be some changes made? Yeah. Are there some racism things going on? 100%. Should they be taking care of all these things that put them into these high stress situations on a regular basis? Probably not. You know,
Right.
that's the thing. We need to solve that and make their job more narrowly focused on crime and safety.
Yep. Absolutely. And we should lead with more respect instead of fear on both sides. Like us as the public, we should obviously respect them, and they should respect us. Like we pay their salary. Like we pay a lot of taxes, especially in California. So
No, yeah,
um,
absolutely. I mean, we need and should respect the police, and I think they do a great job for us 99% of the time.
mhm.
But yeah, I agree that I think more people need to understand what defunding the police means. So when your city or neighborhood or whatever is discussing doing it, learn a little bit about it before you just automatically think that means no police or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we all need someone to go to when things go wrong,
Yeah.
and that's really what they're there for. But you know, we don't need the other nonsense on either side. And like for the protesting, the majority of the stuff that I've seen has been peaceful and stuff. But you're gonna have agitators in anything that are gonna riot and do certain things. But you know, that's the same with the police. We don't want to think that all the protesting is all negative, because it's not.
Yep. Cool. Well, Nikia, anything further we need to discuss on this, or is that pretty much the crux of your theory here?
That's my theory. I appreciate you having me on as a guest, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, Nikia, thanks for joining me on another great episode of I've Got a Theory. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear what our viewers have to say. Thanks for joining me.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Bye.